Hi, here we are again reading Medicine Walk by Ardith Mayer. Yesterday we read chapter 5, and in chapter 5, Burr Henderson did not get eaten by the cougar. He just kept walking down the streamline so that he could continue to have water as he was walking. And as he was walking, he came to a place that was impassable. He could no longer go, but there was the rocks had made what was like a chimney, so it was long, it was tall and long, and he was trying to go up that because it was hollow on the inside. So he was doing that by putting his back on one side and his feet on the other side, and he was scooching and crawling up that, and all of a sudden his feet were towards the sky and his head was leaning toward the bottom. And this is where we left off, and he's found himself in a bit of a mess. And is he going to survive this? Let's find out. We are going to start reading chapter 6, The Mile-Long Minute. Here we go. The world froze. Time seemed to stop. The cold calm that I'd been able to hold since Dad died deserted me entirely, and I screamed. The long wail echoed back for me seconds after I'd stopped. Fresh sweat streamed down me, and this was not from the heat. It was from sheer terror. I could feel those rocks down there, chewing me to hamburger when I hit them. From somewhere, the calm slipped into me again. I saw Nachito's face. He didn't say anything. He just looked at me with that measuring expression he used so often on Charlie and me. My feet were firm on the far wall. I felt with my hands for some finger hold to reinforce the friction of my shoulders against the rock. There was nothing. Even the socket the rock had slipped from slanted the wrong way. Downward. Useless. Sweat from my hair was dripping down the shaft as I paused and breathed very slowly. It was time to think. Now I heard a voice. Not Nachito's, not mine, and not with my ears. The voice said, "A man does not wait to die." It had a growly tone, almost inhuman. "One who finds himself in a terrible place finds his way out again. He uses his mind and his spirit. He listens to the wind and the stones and the water. If he thinks like the land, the plants, the trees, but you are not of the people. Perhaps you cannot." I found that I had closed my eyes. Now I opened them. How do you think like a plant? Or listen to a rock? And who did whoever think he was telling me that I wasn't a person? I felt the stone opposite with my toe. I put that foot up there. I had to get it down again. I slid my foot downward and set it firmly. The other one now. Right there. Now I was almost level. Knees were bent, shoulders more secure against the rock. I tried moving my shoulders up, but the angle was still wrong. I stopped and reset my feet, still lower. Then I rested. That had been the longest minute of my entire life. Once I had the feet below the shoulders, I was in a position from which I could move upward again. I didn't rest on any more rocks, no matter how tired or how convenient they seemed. I hunched and pushed and scrabbled my way up the chimney. A time came when I could have reached the rim just above my head, but I didn't try. I went caterpillaring upward until my head came out the hole. Only then did I grab the stony outcrop of the edge and heave myself out of the crack. Far away down in the canyon, I heard the gravelly "ouch" of a cougar. Shivering, I crawled to the rim to look down. There was a tawny flicker of motion as something flashed across the thread-like stream and into the cottonwoods. "What is he doing hunting by day?" I asked a chipmunk that had been watching me with curious alertness since I emerged from the very earth at its feet. I didn't pretend to be an expert on big cats. Oh, maybe some kinds hunted by day. The sun was at an angle that said it was just past noon. Considering everything, I hadn't made bad time. Now I had to get into the shade. Dad's khaki hat was at the bottom of the shaft, and I was not about to go back after it. Something occurred to me, and I laughed, though it came out pretty cracked. In 1,000 years, maybe, an archaeologist might dig up that hat and wonder how and why it was where it was. That was the kind of joke Dad would appreciate. Then I thought of Grandpa's handkerchief trick. He was bald in the middle of his head, and his scalp blistered easily. Whenever he was unexpectedly caught out in the sun, he would take his handkerchief and tie knots in all four corners, making a sort of cap for himself. I dug into my hip pocket and brought out my own handkerchief. I had never been known for clean handkerchiefs, and this one had seen its best days a good long while before. It was so dirty it was hard to tell that it had ever even been a handkerchief, but I knotted the corners and I put the oddball creation on my head. It dulled the worst of the heat. Then I rose and went to the edge of the small space near the rim. A gnarled piñon stood there. I thought wistfully of piñon nuts, but it was the wrong time of year for them. Although my stomach had stopped growling long before, my bones felt light and hollow, and I knew that it was from a lack of food. I went into the shade of the piñon and leaned against its rough bark. Though I was still shaking a bit from my near disaster in the shaft, it didn't matter. As soon as I rested a little, I knew that I was going on. And that is the end of our chapter 6. It was a short one. We'll see what other adventures and problems Burr Henderson encounters in chapter 7 tomorrow. Have a great day.